The maitre d' spotted me the moment we entered Le Marseille, city's most exclusive French restaurant. His expression barely shifted, but I caught the flicker of recognition in his eyes before he slipped back into perfect professionalism. "Good evening," Diana said, all confidence and couture. "Walker, party of four." I lingered behind as they strutted in, my parents and sister radiating their usual need to be seen flashing luxury watches, designer handbags, and the entitlement that came with old money. They hadn't wanted me here. Not really, but it wouldn't look good if the eldest Walker daughter skipped her father's birthday dinner. "This way, please," the maitre d' said, guiding us through the gleaming dining room. I noticed the discreet nods from the staff, ones who knew better. Diana glanced at my simple black dress with a curled lip. "Surprised you didn't wear one of your thrift store specials, Sarah. Some of us don't confuse self-worth with brand tags," I said lightly. "Sure," says the one barely covering rent in that shoebox apartment, she muttered. Mom shot us both a sharp look. "Not tonight, it's your father's birthday." Dad didn't look up, already grimacing at the wine list. "These prices are criminal," he muttered. I smirked, thinking of what they actually paid wholesale. Diana leaned toward Mom and stage whispered, "Better keep Sarah from ordering anything fancy. Wouldn't want her to max out a debit card." Just then, our waiter arrived. Jean-Luc, one of my best employees. My family dismissed him instantly. I skimming past him like he was wallpaper. "Can you even afford this place?" Diana asked, flipping through the menu. "Maybe stick to soup." Jean-Luc interrupted smoothly, addressing me directly. "Welcome back, Miss Walker. I apologize your usual table was taken, but I trust this one is acceptable." Dad sputtered on his water. Mom's menu slipped from her fingers. Diana's expression frowny mid-smirk. "It's perfect, thank you," I replied, smiling. "Would you like your usual wine, Miss Walker?" he asked, all innocence with just the right hint of mischief. "Yes, please, the 82 Bordeaux." Dad turned sheet white. That bottle alone cost more than his monthly country club fees. Mom finally found her voice. "Sarah, what's going on?" I sipped my water, savoring the moment. "Oh, I must have forgotten to mention he only bought Lumar 6 months ago, along with the entire restaurant group." Diana blinked, her jaw opened, closed. "But you live in that tiny apartment. You wear normal clothes." "Because I choose to," I said simply. "Success doesn't need to shout." Jean-Luc returned with the bottle, presenting it like a ceremony. "An excellent choice as always, Miss Walker. Shall I have Chef Michel prepare your favorite soufflé for dessert?" "That would be lovely," I said, "and please bring the full tasting menu for the table. It's a special occasion, after all." He nodded and left, leaving a heavy silence in his wake of kind that follows a rude awakening. My phone buzzed, probably another update on the London expansion, but that could wait. Tonight, I was enjoying dinner. On my terms. I was going to enjoy watching them unravel the truth that their struggling daughter didn't just own this restaurant, but the entire chain of high-end establishments they love to parade through. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't declaring your success, it's letting people trip over it while they're in the middle of mocking you. Dad took a long pull from his water glass, likely wishing it was something much stronger. Diana, ever subtle, was already tapping furiously on her phone under the table, googling, no doubt, the ownership of the restaurant group. I just Saturday back, opened the menu I knew by heart, and smiled. Dinner was about to get fun. The tasting menu began to arrive course after course, each more exquisite than the last. Chef Michel was clearly in top form tonight, sending out his finest with the kind of pride only the owner would warrant. My family, meanwhile, picked at their plates in stunned silence, still trying to process the shift in power at the table. Finally, Des spoke, his voice tighter than usual. "So, how exactly did this happen?" I swirled the Bordeaux, then took a sip. "Remember that useless MBA I applied for, the one you refused to fund, because I focused on restaurant management instead of finance, like Diana." He shifted uncomfortably. Diana suddenly found her foie gras very interesting. "Well, Turns out there's a lucrative market for transforming how luxury restaurants are run. I said, my company now owns 32 locations across 3 continents. Mom's fork clattered against her plate. 32, I repeated, casually, including Le Cirque in New York, Lannion in Paris, and that county spot in London where you two celebrated your anniversary last year. Dad blinked. You mean the place we waited months to get into? The one, I confirmed, though you didn't have to wait. The reservation was confirmed the moment I saw your names. Diana's cheeks flushed. So that's why we were seated right away, when I mentioned we were walkers. Indeed, I said with a small smile, though I'd advise against being rude to the staff next time. They report directly to me. Jean-Luc appeared with a dish that wasn't on the menu, 3 seared scallops in a delicate saffron reduction. Chef Michel's latest creation, he said. He'd like your thoughts, Miss Walker, before we add it to the menu. I caught the flicker in Dad's eye. She was calculating. The same man who once dismissed my ambitions as a phase was now trying to assign a dollar value to the empire he'd ignored. We open in London next month, I added, tasting the scallop, fully booked for the first 3 months. Mom blinked. London, but you said you couldn't afford to join us there last summer. I was there, I replied, overseeing construction on my new restaurant. I stayed in my penthouse and at the family hotel. Diana's phone buzzed. Likely one of her socialite friends cluing her in on who really owned their favorite dining spots. She looked up, frowning. Is that why you never bought a bigger apartment, or wore designer labels? I choose to invest in people, not things, I said. My staff earns the highest wages in the industry. They have healthcare, education support, real futures. The sommelier approached, holding another bottle. Ms. Walker, the investment group is here again. They're renewing their offer. I didn't even blink. Tell them what we always tell them. 5. He nodded. Not for solid any price. Dad frowned mid-sip. Investment group, he asked slowly. Morgan Stanley, I said, almost bored. They've offered 12 times earnings, so far. The look on his face investment banker turned humbled father was a moment I treasure for years. Mom leaned in, her voice gentler now. Darling, why didn't you tell us? We've been so worried about how modestly you were living. Because success isn't about flash, Mom. It's about what you build and who you bring with you. I gestured around the dining room. Everything here, I built. No family loans, no trust fund, no shortcuts. Diana's expression shifted from disbelief to calculation. So, about reservations. Still have to be made in advance, I said, cutting her off. And your name doesn't carry special weight anymore. I leaned in just a little. In fact, you might find a few places mysteriously booked solid. Dessert arrived. Chef Michel's legendary soufflé, paired with a port odor than Diana's latest handbag. I raised my glass. Happy birthday, Ed, I said. Dinner's on me, as it has been every time you've dined in one of my restaurants for the past year. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't just owning the tape lights, letting them realize they've been eating at your expense all along. The port was excellent, almost as satisfying as watching my family choke down their pride with their dessert. By the time coffee was served, the energy at the table had shifted entirely. Diana's condescension had melted into clumsy flattery. Mom couldn't stop name-dropping friends who'd be thrilled to invest in my next venture. And Dad, well, his Saturday in heavy silence, probably reliving every time he dismissed my little restaurant job, while singing Diana's praises for landing a junior analyst role at his firm. Jean-Luc returned, poised as ever. Ms. Walker, he said, Chef Michel requests your presence in the kitchen when you're available. The London menu needs your final approval. Diana perked up, eyes lighting with hope. Oh, could I come? I'd love to. See, the kitchen is for staff and owners only, I said, pleasant but firm. Health regulations, you understand. Mom tried another angle. Darling, let us host a party to celebrate. To think her daughter, such a successful restaurant owner, I corrected. Funny how it wasn't worth celebrating when you thought I was just managing a single location. Before anyone could respond, the sommelier approached with a leather folder. The wine list for London. Ms. Walker, also, Mr. Thompson from Tokyo called to confirm your final decision on the grand opening. That's it, snapped up. Tokyo opens next spring, I said, though Diana may already know she was there last month trying to name-drop the Walker family for a reservation at my Paris location. Diana flushed. I didn't realize that my staff would inform me that every rude comment, every condescending tone, every time you complained about prices or tried to skip the waitlist, came right back to me. I stood, smoothing the lines of my dress, simple, elegant, and custom-made by a quiet genius in Paris. Nah, if you'll excuse me, I need to review the tasting menu. But it's your father's birthday, Mom said weakly. And I've paid for it, I replied, calm and cool, just as I've paid for every meal you've had in one of my restaurants. I turned to Jean-Luc. Please ensure my family has everything they need, and add the standard gratuity to their bill. Their bill, Diana squeaked. Of course, I smiled. Just because I own the place doesn't mean it's free. That wouldn't be good business, would it? In the kitchen, Chef Michel greeted me with his usual exuberance. He walked me through the final menu for London, discussing wine pairings, seasonal produce, and a new dessert concept that had the sous chefs buzzing. Through the viewing window, I could see my family huddled together, eyes wide, voices low, still trying to comprehend what had just unfolded. My phone buzzed. Diana, I'm sorry for everything, for how we treated you. Mom, we were wrong, so wrong. Dad, I never saw at your vision, your potential. Can we talk, please? I typed one response and sent it to all three. Reservations required, 3-month waitlist, no exceptions. Then I turned back to Michelle's notes. There was still Tokyo to finalize. Later that evening, I returned to my apartment, the entire top floor of the building. Minimal, quiet, mine. On the wall hung a framed article from years ago. Unknown buyer revives failing bistro, builds culinary empire. Unknown, underestimated, unstoppable. I smiled, then sent one final message. Next time you judge someone's worth, remember, they might just own the ground you're standing on. I opened my laptop and dove back into the Tokyo rollout plan. Because success isn't about revenge. It's about evolution. And the most satisfying taste in the world. Not the port, not the soufflé. It's the moment they realize they've been dining in your success all along.